Hello players of Hero Wars, I'm Jay. Welcome to Jay vs. Hero Wars. Today I will be talking about my tier list, right? It's updated since we've gotten Corvus and Morgan, as well as a couple other updates. So without further ado, let's check it out. Alright guys, so this tier list is meant as a guide. It does not include every single combo. That'd be very difficult to do. Additionally, this list is meant to help new players figure out which heroes they should focus on. It's also important to remember that a typical team is comprised of a tank, a major damage dealer or two, a control / support, maybe one and or the other, and a healer. So there's 5 heroes in a team. Here are some examples, right? We have Astaroth, Kark, Yasmin, Sebastian, and Martha. We also have Cleaver, Satori, Ju, Celeste, and Peppy, and Aurora, Krista, Sebastian, Celeste, and Lars. Now, there's a bunch of different combos that you can use. You don't have to use 2 damage dealers, for example, but these were a couple that just came to mind, so I just went ahead and put them down for you guys. So now that we've gone through all the disclaimers, let's take a look at the tier list. So for S tier, we have Aurora, Krista and Lars, Sebastian, Celeste, and Martha. Aurora has gotten a major upgrade since the dodge renovation. The fact that she acquires energy while she's able to dodge is a major game changer. Not only does it allow her to avoid damage, but it also allows for her whole entire team to basically acquire energy much faster and have their skills go off more often. You also have Krista and Lars, standard twins. They are just crazy. I mean, the other good thing about having Krista and Lars on a team is you already have 2 out of your 5 heroes picked, and they're very, very solid. So that's a very, very big plus. You have Sebastian, and the reason he's S tier is he just nullifies every single, for the most part, negative effect. I know there are a couple of exceptions, but those heroes that are the exceptions are not used as common. I believe one of them is like Chaba, and the other one is like Phobos. But, I mean, again, like Jet, nullifying Jet's ability to lower your team's defense is huge. And the biggest one is, of course, countering Jorgen's ability to steal energy. That is huge. Celeste, perhaps one of the most dangerous heroes in the game. She basically can make all your healing turn into damage. And what's the first thing you think of when you think of surviving? It is healing. So Celeste just nullifies that whole idea. Martha is also S tier. Not only is she the best healer in the game, that's just undisputed, but she's also increases the speed of your hero team, which is great because it allows for more hits to occur, equaling more, skills going off, which, skills are big. Those are the things that essentially can make a difference in a battle. Now we have A tier. These heroes are all super, super strong. They're basically S tier level heroes. The only difference is you do need to be a little bit more careful of who is on the opposing team as well as who is on your team. So examples here, we have Kark, Kira, Yasmin, Ju, Jorgen, Corvus and Morgan, Nebula, Astaroth, Orion, Helios, Dorian, the ODH combo, right? So Kark is a lethal damage dealer. Everyone knows about him. Kira is also lethal with her AoE damage to all opposing team, right? Yasmin, we all know she's dangerous with her crazy attack stats and her ability to dodge. She can be an absolute nuisance. You have Ju. When he's powered up correctly, anytime there's a single hero or single, boss, Ju is the guy that you need. You have Jorgen. Jorgen is amazing if Sebastian is not on the opposing side. If Sebastian is on the opposing side, Jorgen is not so helpful. But when Sebastian's not there, Jorgen is an S tier hero. His ability to steal energy from the opposing team and basically to give your own team more energy just allows for you to win the battle that much quicker. Corvus and Morgan, they're the undead heroes right now. Yeah, they're A tier. They're right, honestly, on the brink of A and A-, but Morgan brings them up to A tier because of her little skeletons. I call them little minions. But anyway, Yeah, so they're a decent combo. Corvus on his own, though, he just really doesn't have any good defensive stats, whether it is defending against purely physical damage or magic defense. Like, he just doesn't have it. So that is a liability, but he is great against heroes that just deal a big amount of damage right away. His tower can take care of Kira pretty quick. But Morgan, again, right, so she can nullify essentially Astaroth, who's another, A tier hero, because as soon as a hero on that team goes down, Morgan has one of her minions basically swoop in and start attacking the opposing team from within their own inner circle, essentially. You also have Nebula, who is one of the best supports in the game. She has the ability not only to heal heroes near her, two heroes, right? And maybe even herself, depending on the situation, but she can also buff physical attack and magic attack, which is huge. Then we have Astaroth, right? A former S tier hero getting knocked down by Morgan, as well as, just some other unfortunate updates. But essentially, Astaroth is still a great hero. He just isn't as OP as he once was. We have the ODH combo. Everyone knows they're lethal. Dorian just keeps healing up Orion and Helios because of his vampirism. And Orion deals mad damage. Helios is a critical hero nightmare. A minus tier, we have Cleaver and Peppy. Good combo. Just there are some better ones. I mean, look at Corvus and Morgan, Lars and Krista, ODH. I mean, right there's three right in front of Cleaver and Peppy. Peppy is crazy good though, and Cleaver is just really, really hard to obtain, so that could be an issue. Satori, my favorite counter hero. If you give him enough time, he will wreck some teams. He's definitely a hero to watch out for if you have Kark. Luther, one of the underrated tanks in the game. Definitely also kind of a scary tank because he does leave your hero team all alone, similar to Ziri's burrowing. But Ziri doesn't do as much damage, and you can see she suffered. She's in the B minus tier. But going back to Faceless, right? Faceless is actually a crazy good hero. The problem with him is basically he really doesn't have that much health. His abilities are really, really good, but his health isn't great. So if you are up against someone who can deal major damage, Faceless might get taken out of the fight really early. Cornelius, one of my favorite heroes for campaign, especially when you're facing those crazy ice attackers in the back who just freeze your front line. Cornelius is a great backline attacker. Definitely a little bit more specialized, but can be very, very useful as a support. And Vari, my favorite hero in the game. Really cool hand skill that basically, constricts an opponent and basically just doesn't allow their skills to go off. You have Daredevil. Daredevil can do mad damage now, especially with her rework. High DPS, just, survivability is an issue. Galahad, one of the OG heroes for Hero Wars, still a really great hero. Just essentially sometimes lacking. But I like the fact that he can basically get a little bit of vampirism in the items. We have Marcus. Marcus is actually not bad at all. I actually saw him in action the other day, and his immunity skill, when it is in place, it can be a major annoyance. Ishmael, with the right support, one of the most lethal heroes. Definitely slightly kind of a glass cannon team hero, but he's very good. Jet can definitely support Ishmael. Jet is also great with Kira. Jet basically allows your heroes to hit harder because he takes away from the opposing team's defense. Now we go to B plus tier. We're talking about Leanne. Basically can have the opposing heroes just kind of be infatuated and not really do anything. You could be sitting at the screen going, why are my heroes not standing there? They have little heart marks above. They're just really into Leanne. Thea, she's a good healer, but she also has a silent skill, which can be a very, very annoying thing. Basically doesn't allow your heroes to have their skills go off. Ginger has a decent area damage attack as well, but she just doesn't hit as hard as Kira or Kark, for that matter, as well as a bunch of other heroes. So she kind of gets the short end of the stick and is a little bit lower ranked. We have Maya. Maya, though, Good healer, decent attacker, but really needs to be in that number 2 slot. It's just key for Maya, so that really limits her viability. We have Elmer. Elmer is a decent hero. I like the fact that he can basically divide himself up, but he's very much a defensive hero, not a great offensive hero. King Mao, great with Kira. She has that armor penetration. Definitely a decent choice for a support. We have Kai. Kai is good in different situations. I've seen him used with Kark. Can be effective, but Kai is also not always, in my opinion, the best choice. His attacks are a little bit slow to get going, but once he does get going, he's not bad. Rufus, very specialized hero. He's really, he can't get knocked out by a magic attack. That's his 4 skill. So that is what's keeping him in this tier, because otherwise he really doesn't survive very well. Dante with the rework is very good against certain heroes, but still doesn't quite hit hard enough to make a huge impact in our rankings here. Daredevil just outdoes almost everyone in DPS, but Kark, Kira, again, Yasmin, some of the top heroes just are such great performers that, other heroes just can't really catch up just yet, even with the rework. We have Chaba. Chaba, I like the fact that he eats other heroes, kind of like Kirby, minus the fact that he doesn't look like them after. But, he's an interesting hero, but not super viable late in game. Artemis, good hero, can hit a lot of targets on the opposing team, but just doesn't hit very hard, which is kind of a bummer. We have Fox. Fox used to be the old Anvari, if I'm being honest. She was one of the only counters for Kark when he first arrived on the scene. Now she's fallen a little bit. She could use a little bit more damage. She is a decent damage dealer, but it's just like there are other options out there, With Ziri, Ziri for me is one of my least favorite heroes on Facebook. She just burrows, and when she comes up, she doesn't do really any damage. She doesn't really stun. On mobile, she stuns a little bit, but not on Facebook. She just really doesn't do enough. She hides, and her whole team gets honestly destroyed. You have Darkstar. Darkstar is, an interesting hero. Nice that she can turn an opposing hero against their own team, but this isn't very viable. She's a backline hero, so she doesn't really get that skill off enough before, a fight is normally over. So not viable in Arena or Grand Arena, but I guess it's possible to use her in Tower and maybe in Campaign, but really just a limited market of use for Darkstar. Astrid and Lucas, very cool concept, but realistically doesn't really do enough to be viable on a team. Mojo, he's actually very good early in game. He has this skill that basically just keeps firing off. But late in game, there's just so many better options that Mojo kind of falls off. Plus the fact that, when you're farming his soul stones, you have to use a lot of energy. Really is a downside. We have Phobos. Phobos for me is a hero that has a lot of upside and potential, but right now, as is not very viable in the game. Yeah, you can use him at first to basically nullify some bosses, but later in game, he just doesn't become useful. You can't use him in Outland at all. He's just kind of a train wreck right now. He needs a rework. We have Lilith. Lilith, for me, yeah, okay, she does her job. She grows and she looks cool, but she does no damage, if I'm being honest, in most fights, which kind of, for me, that doesn't really help. You have Judge. Judge just, sitting duck, in my opinion. Arachne, great early hero, just because you can acquire so many of her soul stones so fast. And for me, just, it really shows you how big of a difference a absolute hero can be, as opposed to like a 2 or 3 star hero. Heidi, one of the most annoying heroes. Yeah, actually, you know what? In my opinion, she might be better than C tier, but she does 0 damage in terms of an actual fight. She dodges like crazy, but ultimately it's not viable for Arena, Grand Arena. I guess you could use it in Grand Arena as a stall team, but I haven't seen it used effectively in a team for like Arena or something like that. Also haven't seen it very often in Campaign, if at all. So that's kind of the tier list that we're looking at here, post a couple reworks and adding in Corvus and Morrigan. The last time I made a tier list, I was told that I should also maybe go into tanks and separate them out a little bit for the newer players. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do that right now. So here is a list that I have of tanks and off tanks that I've seen be pretty useful. In my opinion, for Facebook, and if you're new, don't even consider anyone below Rufus. Everything above Rufus, I'd say, is good to go. You can use them early in game, late in game. They will help you out. But essentially, Aurora all the way down to Rufus is really, really what you want to use, and nothing below that for this particular list. Now, as a note, tanks are not indicated by anything, but the off tanks are indicated by an asterisk. An off tank is basically a hero that can be used as a tank, even though it is not necessarily designated as a tank. Major damage dealers. Now, you can use almost any of these. I do recommend that you use Lars with Krista. They're just super effective together. Satori, I do like Satori and Peppy together with a cleaver team. But honestly, you can't go wrong. All these heroes will deal a lot of damage. And you can use them in Grand Arena no matter what the situation at the end of the day. It's just going to work out that way because eventually with Grand Arena, you're going to have 3 different teams anyway. So if you use any of these, you're off to a good start. Ultimately, this is the hero that's going to kind of carry you through campaign and through arena for a while. Here's a list of heroes that I like for control and support. Honestly, anything up to Jet is usable pretty much anytime. Dorian and Helios, again, are a really good combo with that Orion. Dorian is also actually really good next to just any major damage dealer, but they have to be standing right next to each other because Dorian only grants aura, which basically is vampirism, so healing for the amount of damage you do if they're standing next to Dorian. But anyway, King Mao is also really good with Kira. Leanne is just a nice backline hero, can basically have the opposing team fall asleep. Great on defense. But yeah, Sebastian, Celeste, Jorgen, and Nebula are dirty in the best way possible. We have healers. All of these are really, really good. Honestly, Celeste, Martha, Nebula, Dorian, and Marcus are definitely the best if you're trying to heal your team. Maya is good as well, but again, needs to be in that second position. Thea is good, but very situational. And Morgan, for me, is kind of the worst healer just because she only heals her own minions or skeletons, right? But, she is a decent healer as well. But that's what we're talking about for this Hero Wars tier list. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you all in Dominion.